Hello and welcome to the project of Indiana Dunes National Park Eastern Gateway. My name is Julian Sandfield and I go to Purdue University. Creating an easily identifiable as well as an easily accessible literal gateway to the national park is the main objective that combines community needs and national park desires. With that, focusing on infrastructures that are being removed as an amenity of focus for generation of remediation, economic growth, and community connection for the people of Michigan City is the main purpose here. With there being a connection to the city jurisdiction and a national park entity, understanding the regional impact of communities that developmental opportunities can bring to the adjacency to the national park, as well as power plant impact that is diminished community growth in the northwestern region of Indiana. Finding that there are multiple levels of connection to the national park that has for visitors to get to the park, finding what amenities that are in the system is important to look at regionally, as well to the national, to the Michigan City perspective, understanding that there isn't a direct connection in the amenity to the national park. Keeping that as a focus for the project is something to highlight as well. Diving not only into the Michigan City boundary, but also the specific neighborhood of West Side, Michigan City, we're finding that there are two potential amenity points that are closing down in the Indiana State Prison, as well as the NIPSCO generation site. And looking at the social ends of the city, looking at different types of need in the neighborhood give more rise to make change with the closing down of potential amenities. Thinking through the socioeconomic impact that closures and diminishing systems in the neighborhood of Michigan City, looking at the ecological risks that pose a threat to the downstream neighborhoods. Finding such as a risk is a reason to further transfer ownership and image to a more ecologically focused area for the site and the health of Michigan City and the health of Lake Michigan, as well as the people for the neighborhood of West Side. Starting looking into the social lens of the neighborhood, as well as the need for community growth and environmental needs of the infrastructural change, understanding the city in terms of the growth from the beginning of the city's generation is a key to form a story where the city has established itself. In the lens of ecology, developmentally, culturally, can we establish the goals of the project to bring back what has been taken, what has been changed culturally through the ecology and development? The first site of focus being the penetration point to the national park in Mount Baldy that exists as an impaired dune as it continues to move into the forest as wind and erosion persist, taking pressure off of the dune that creates a national park amenity as well as a community amenity is the focus. Through concept generation and goal implementation, can there be a site that establishes a direct gateway to the national park that can bring mostly visitor impacts that attract from various parts of the region, with the addition of another South Shoreline station penetrating the national park, as well visitors from across the world that users can find a sense of arrival and sense of place with the dynamic nature of the site. The community connection space, also a visitor connection space outside of the building specific areas that bridges community and national arrival that changes through the site and is highlighted through the site function. Sitting on the southernmost part of the site, the dynamic nature of the site that can bring a sense of arrival, introspective connection with not only the visitors but the landscape as well through sensory planting placement. Cutting from the east to the west of the entire site, looking at vegetation, wildlife, and the culmination of the human presence is the function of understanding how we can all interconnect via seasonal quality and the dynamic nature of the seasons and its impact on our collective activity. Having indoor activity that is forced by the winter season can allow for true multiplicity of seasonal use within the site. Introducing people into the site, understanding the purpose of having various ways of allowing for a sense of arrival to arise for the site for the visitors as well. One being the entry from the NIPSCO site that brings users in with a canopy walk above the building from an at-grade situation, as well as the south side of the site being introduced from an elevated transit station that is welcomed into the building from various levels that connect to one another through various trail routes that connect the site to one another. The second site of focus being the Indiana State Prison in terms as a give back mechanism for the West Side neighborhood represents itself as a developmental growth opportunity economically and culturally to the city. The give back is a way for the West Side neighborhood to reestablish as a representation of what the prison meant for the city, for the community to use, and for the national park to have an opportunity to take ownership to further allow for pressure to be removed from natural resources of the national park system. A mixed-use development that is aligned with the national park as a focal point for corridor development through increased connection to trails, bus systems within the city as a whole. From the West Side district through the retail hub, through the office hub, can the corridor arise as a direct connection to the national park that is the Gateway Site Master Plan, northwest of the Prison Give Back Master Plan. The third site being the NIPSCO generation site that is in the most remediation need for the amount of pressure, the groundwater infiltration, and air quality impact that the site has imposed on communities going through a closure application in 2028. Finding that there is an opportunity for ecological give back to the community of Michigan City as a whole is a strong implication while decisions for the site are being made. With there being a lack of decision making in the lens of the NIPSCO site and its remediation, thinking broadly about the future image of the site that can arise from when the elements are cleaned and removed was the objective here. Without proper knowledge and input of all the impacts of the future, from legal implications, wanting to make a future for the city and the people of Michigan City that the national park system could maybe think about in the terms of ownership is something of notice when thinking of the closure measures and the pressing as a national amenity for various types of users.